Hello and welcome to our 38th edition of FSI Fridays. I'm Edwin in Boston, joined by
Erin in New York.
Wait a minute, you're not Johansson. It's not April Fool's, everyone. Johansson is off this week, but I'm delighted to introduce our new co-host, Erin McGovern. Welcome aboard, Erin. Want to quickly introduce yourself and let us know what we have lined up today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Edwin. It's great to be here. So I am a customer success account manager for our financial services customers based out of New York City. It's pretty fitting that this is my first co-hosting experience with this team, as we're discussing a new employee experience platform and its influence on the customers that we work with. So first, we're going to talk about how people are the key to successful organizations.
That's right. And second, we'll be talking about return to office and how Microsoft Viva enables employee collaboration, regardless of location, increased well-being, and learning.
Third, we'll see some cool demos and learn how these can be used by different FSI organizations.
Then we'll wrap it up with Q&A.
Today on FSI Fridays. So for those of you watching live, please use the Q&A window and we'll monitor for questions during the presentation. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment below.
So let's get started and meet the presenters for today. Erin, who's our special guest this week?
We're honored to be joined by two accomplished guests today who work at Microsoft. Let's start with you, Kamal. Thanks for being on the show today. Can you let the audience know what your role is and what your typical day entails? We also hear you were given two very interesting options for a college degree to pursue. Apparently you chose very wisely. Tell us more.
Thank you, Erin. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm Kamal Janardhan, and I'm the General Manager for Microsoft Viva Insights. And my day entails essentially thinking about the product, learning from our customers, what would create an exceptional employee experience for Microsoft Viva. You mentioned the choice that my parents gave me when I was deciding what to study in college, and it was essentially to do medicine or engineering. And as you can tell, I chose engineering, and I'm thankful for that choice. However, because my mother is also a professor of literature, I also chose to get a degree in English literature, and I love the ability to combine the left and right brain that academic choice has enabled me to do.
Thanks for sharing that, Kamal. What's funny is my wife and I are both computer science and computer engineers, and apparently she only wants to give our kids only one option to pursue engineering degrees. So we'll see how it goes there, but thanks for sharing that. We're also joined by Adam Harmetz. Welcome to the show, Adam. What's your role at Microsoft? And I hear during COVID, it inspired you and your wife to work together on something shared with the entire world.
Thank you, Edwin, for having us today. It is so exciting to be here. So my name is Adam Harmetz. I work very closely with Kamal and Microsoft Viva. My roots in history at SharePoint for 15 years mostly have been in the SharePoint land. And as we'll talk about SharePoint and many of its scenarios and tech and customer journeys are evolving into Microsoft Viva. So we'll talk about the components, but there's two of them, Viva Connections as well as Viva Topics that my team thinks about. So thanks for mentioning the thing that my wife and I started in January. We started a blog on parenting, on leadership, on products that we like. And it was just, I felt with COVID just a greater need to sort of connect with people. And it was a cool way that my wife and I could work together to do that. So if you're interested, you can find us on Twitter. Look us up and give us a subscribe, I guess.
Awesome. So cool to hear about both of your backgrounds. Kamal, to set the stage, a lot has happened this past year. Can you speak a bit to why Microsoft wanted to create a new experience for the workforce, specifically employees and managers?
Yes, Erin, certainly. So a year ago, the world completely changed. And just about every customer and leader we spoke with was grappling with how to make this new world of work more sustainable for their people, for their organizations, and for themselves. And even as we see people start going back to work, we know that how we work will permanently be transformed by the pandemic. And many of us are realizing that what is needed to survive and thrive is a culture of resilience that enables people and organizations to be their best selves, to adapt for what's next. And so during this last year, Microsoft has been focused on being students of this change, listening to our customers, commissioning research, analyzing the data, the largest activity set known to humanity from our cloud services, and following the behavioral science. And that has essentially led to a set of valuable insights and product investments. What we have found from this research in this area is that more than ever, people are the key to business success. And we always knew that, but the pandemic has brought it up to the top. And the stats and the countless other research shows that when we invest in the people and we focus on improving the employee experience, this has a direct impact on employee engagement, retention, customer satisfaction, and a company's financial success. What was previously a nice to have is now an essential part of being successful in the world today.
Kamal, thanks for that background. This is a very recurring theme that we hear a lot. Satya's quote of 2 months of 2 years of transformation happening in the last 2 months. And I think what you just mentioned with Viva, bringing all these pieces together and accelerating what can be done. The nice to haves are now reality. So thanks for sharing that. Let's turn it over to you, Adam. So based on Kamal's insights about Microsoft innovation, can you tell us about this new employee experience platform? It seems to encompass many moving parts that enable employees and leaders to stay engaged. So please tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Kamal's insight about the business problem is spot on. She and I have worked together and we've certainly seen that. And so translating that into how we're going to solve this, like as we look around, there's really just never been a bigger need for technology, data, and insights that are designed to enable this employee experience, regardless of where you work. Employees, of course, they want to feel more connected. They want to feel more aligned to their company's purpose and mission. They want to grow and make an impact and make a difference. Leaders who are empowering these employees need a modern way to engage and develop this employee base. And of course, IT has a huge role to play here. IT needs to be able to quickly enable this modern employee experience without having to rip and replace all their existing systems. I talked about how I've worked on SharePoint for 15 years and how that's evolving into Microsoft Viva. We really think really deeply about that, how we're bringing existing systems, existing scenarios along, so it's not just some sort of step function change. But at the end of the day, what Kamal is framing with the result of the pandemic and COVID, we really felt when we looked at it, we needed to signal a dramatically new approach and a new category of technology solutions. And we're calling this the Employee Experience Platform, and Microsoft Viva is an employee experience platform. And we really think it puts people at the center, which is something you've heard us talk about at Microsoft for years now across several different dimensions. And I think this is a really powerful way where we're delivering on that. And, it brings together these systems of work with the systems of support integrated into the systems of engagement, such as Microsoft Teams. And, there are a lot of vendors today focused on the employee experience and well-being space, but we saw them mostly as point solutions, things that you'd have to sort of cobble together these disparate tools. And we really believe by investing in an employee experience platform, we can bring all those disconnected and fragmented things together into one place, into the place that people are already working and communicating, which is one of the more powerful ways we think we can help impact this industry and help customers succeed.
Awesome insight. Thanks, Adam. So when we're talking about this platform, can you describe how the team siloed different offerings based on the customer needs that Microsoft identified and built these into what we're calling 4 different modules?
Yeah, and I think we're going to spend a lot of time drilling in to these individual models. So I'll just sort of talk about them very briefly right now. I would also frame this as Microsoft Viva is a start of a multi-year product investment journey for us. So what we'll be talking about today are the 4 initial modules that help flesh out exactly what we mean by Microsoft Viva and what we mean by an employee experience platform. But you'll certainly see us add more modules and add depth to each of these modules as things go on. But I think it can sort of take this abstract concept of a platform and make it really crisp and talk about the very specific business problems that Microsoft Viva can help with. And so that first area is culture and communications, how people are connecting with leaders, how there is a thriving network of people giving feedback to one another and people being able to consume information and getting information on the company's culture. And so we have a product called Microsoft Viva Connections. If you're familiar with SharePoint portals, it's very similar. It's the evolution. It's a spiritual successor to portals, but brought forth, as we'll talk about, in dramatically new ways. Kamal is going to talk about Viva Insights next. And that's really where we put this effort on increasing productivity and thinking holistically about the well-being of employees and providing data and insights on how that's going. And then there's Viva Topics. This is probably, for those that have been involved in this business for a while, you might know that knowledge management has been a thing before, and then maybe it faded as there was a hype cycle about it. I am incredibly excited by Viva Topics because I think there is just this perfect match between how mature the technology is getting and the criticality of the business problem of helping people deal with information overload, help them connect with experts, especially if they're remote during these times or there's a hybrid workplace. And so Viva Topics is a decade-long journey to really transform how companies are doing knowledge management in the 2020s. And we'll talk in a few minutes just about how we're getting started with that with the launch of Viva Topics this spring. And then finally, Viva Learning. That's about skilling and growth. This one's probably the easiest of the four to understand. Everybody has training needs. Everybody has needs to upskill their workforce. Here's a place in the path of work inside Microsoft Teams where that can happen. And we'll talk a little more about it, but of course it brings a bunch of existing learning management systems into one place. So you don't need to restart with your learning journey. You can bring in your existing content. Of course, it's encouraged you to do more, and it connects to the rest of Microsoft Viva, because what's the difference between learning and knowledge and insights on how that's going, and then having that flywheel going of advertising it through Microsoft Viva connections. So it all sort of plays together.
Thanks for that extremely helpful background, Adam. I'm really excited about all the different modules with Viva, just because, as I'm going and learning through what Viva can do, it's going to definitely apply, and it resonates with me on how I can maybe leverage it and save time and just have a much better experience overall. So let's go ahead and play a short video so the audience can see what Viva looks like in action.
Microsoft Viva empowers people and teams to be their best by bringing communications, insights, learning, and knowledge into an integrated employee experience right inside Microsoft Teams. Viva Connections is your gateway to this experience, allowing you to stay engaged and informed no matter where you work. Here's an example for a company called ReliCloud. Connections is customized for your organization and personalized for you, with a feed of relevant news, announcements, and conversations so you're always in the know, and a dashboard connecting you to company resources and tools from Viva and across your digital workplace. You can tailor Viva Connections for every role, from frontline workers to executives, to keep everyone connected and engaged. Viva Insights helps you work smarter and thrive with personalized reminders to prioritize time for focused work, coaching, and learning. Take regular breaks, and mindfully wrap up your workday with a virtual commute. For managers and leaders, Viva provides insights and recommendations to foster healthy, successful teams and build personal and organizational resilience. For example, Viva can help a manager see if a team is at risk of burnout, then take action to help them develop healthy work habits and feel balanced. Viva Insights helps you understand the impact of work patterns on people and the business, then drive and measure change while protecting personal privacy every step of the way. With Viva, you can foster success and well-being for you, your team, and your organization. Viva Learning brings all your learning resources together in one place. You'll find content that's been assigned to you and recommended from a variety of sources, including your own custom content, learning management systems, and top content providers, including LinkedIn Learning and Microsoft Learn. With Viva, learning becomes a natural part of your day and lets everyone learn in the flow of work. It's easy to find, share, and discuss learning, and organize resources to foster a learning culture. Managers can assign learning and track completion to accelerate onboarding. Viva Learning enables employees to develop their skills and grow in their careers and as a person. Lots of learning is done on the job, and Viva Topics magically connects you to knowledge and experts. When you come across an unfamiliar topic or acronym, just hover. No need to search for knowledge. Knowledge finds you. Want to know more? Just click to find people, resources, and conversations related to the topic. Have a question? Just ask. Viva has the answer or calls in topic experts. Viva uses AI to build topic pages automatically and makes sure sensitive content remains protected. With Viva Topics, you can harness the knowledge of your organization and connect people to that knowledge in the apps they use every day. These features and more are coming to Microsoft Viva this year. Microsoft Viva brings communications, insights, learning, and knowledge together into an integrated employee experience, so everyone can be their best and the whole organization can thrive.
So Kamal, that was a great video to see the overview of what Viva looks like and what the experience would be for our customers. Do you want to hone in on 2 areas that you think are most impactful for some of our FSI customers here?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the great things about Viva, as Adam called out, is the fact that we believe it's an ecosystem. So success for our customers will be enabled both by what we build in the product at Microsoft and also the solutions we create in partnership with other people who are enabling organizational transformation. And speaking to that, so what we found is that the financial industry is very similar in the sense to the technology industry, in that the pandemic has changed the way that we all work and changed the way that customers do business within this context. And so an example of a customer who took what was hybrid work, the first thing was the need to enable digitally remote work and hybrid work. And so that has been the focus for a lot of our customers within the financial industry. And the way that they work with employee experience in Viva is ensuring that that digital enablement, that they're actually able to get on Teams, that all of their workforce, no matter what their demographic is technology capable of interacting on Teams. Another interesting case study that we saw with a customer was where we have a bank, essentially Investec, who thinks of themselves as a relationship bank versus a transactional bank, and looking at all of the data and activity within Insights to create the best experience for their employees, such that when those employees actually interact in this new remote world with customers, they're able to pool the information and the data to provide that best experience externally outside the company. So it's been fascinating to see both how the data is leveraged and how creating that internal employee experience enables the best outcomes for the business.
So thanks, Kamal. That was awesome to see how we're using data to change our customers' everyday experiences. Now that the audience was able to see the platform in action and they have a good understanding of the 4 pillars, Adam, can you share your screen and maybe give us a deeper dive of an example of how Viva really drives community connection for the employees utilizing the platform?
All right, absolutely, Erin. I actually think geeking out on the individual modules is my favorite part of talking about Viva, because it's really where you get into the details of the scenarios and what we can accomplish together. So yeah, if you want to talk about culture and communications, we got to talk about Microsoft Viva Connections. So we talked a little bit at the high level, but it really, it's designed to create a sense of place, whether you're all in the office or remote and hybrid or some mix of all of that. It keeps everybody connected. It creates this sense of destination, whether that's a website or part of a mobile app in Teams. And of course, it's a two-way conversation. While it creates a place and while there is a role for corporate communicators and leaders to broadcast out messages, it includes tools like Yammer to really sort of encourage this collaborative nature, this ability for people to contribute. And the whole goal is providing new tools for you to unite and inspire your organization, and also just help them find the resources that they need. So if we take a look at it in just a little more detail, this is what we call the Viva Connections desktop experience inside Microsoft Teams. So I'll speak to the person who has been using SharePoint for a long time now. This should look pretty familiar. It is a SharePoint website, but it's embedded inside Microsoft Teams. And we've done a bunch of work to make sure that all those rough edges are taken care of. Like, you don't see the app, the search bar at the top or the app launcher. That's instead, we put the search experience directly into the Teams experience. It is company branded, so Relic Cloud would be the fictional name of the company in this particular demo, and you can make it look to your brand, to your colors, and name just alongside chat and Teams is your company logo and your company name, creating that sense of place for your organization. Now, for those that haven't invested in SharePoint in a while, this is incredibly turnkey. You can get this started in just an afternoon. Of course, it lives and breathes and dies by the content that you contribute here and the apps that you connect in. But it is really just this platform for you to be able to create this sense of place and create this connection and community. All right, well, let's dig a little bit deeper, and we'll take a look in particular at the mobile experience here. So that's one of the huge investment areas that we made in Microsoft Viva Connections, and we'll be coming to market this summer. We've really rethought the experience, not just shrinking down the website, but how can we drive real engagement with your employees on mobile, thinking about the tasks they need to complete in 5 seconds, or the in-between space where they have a need to sort of catch up on things. And so look at the product. There's 3 pivots to this: dashboard, feed, and resources. And that's really how we think about Microsoft Viva Connections. And we'll start with the feed. This is the best place for leaders to really engage with their employees. You can see something like a typical stories feature that's incredibly visual. If you drill in even more, and we can scroll down through this feed, you can see a variety of content from SharePoint portals, from Teams announcements, from Yammer, announcements as well, stream videos. It's just really bringing all the communication together into one place. And you have the ability to boost particular pieces of content. You have the particular to socially interact and engage. And it's just, here so you can see you can dig into an individual particular article, be able to see comment on it, see related news. It's just a whole suite of features for really engaging as corporate communicators or leaders or influencers within a company. And I think obviously this is going to apply to desktop as well, but really providing that experience on mobile is really going to drive deeper engagement. And of course, all this content can be targeted. So if you have particular content that you're targeting at your investment bankers versus your bank tellers versus your traders, all those types of things, you can take that into account and really have a rich toolkit. In fact, the same toolkit you may have been using in SharePoint and the content management system that is backing all of this particular piece of content. And this screenshot is just showing how this can appear on desktop as well. So there's a parity between the desktop and mobile experience as you scroll through. But I want to move forward a little bit and talk about a second pivot within the Viva Connections experience, and that's the dashboard. And so this is really a deeper investment in making sure people have access to the tools and apps that they need every day to succeed as employees. We all use dozens of tools, but they're scattered throughout various different systems. And here is a way where you can have a central dashboard, once again targeted to the particular type of employee, that brings all those tools into one place. We've thought really how you can take existing Teams apps, Power Apps that folks might have built, websites, and really provided a central place to give them sunlight, to organize them, to have the organization say, here's the most important, here's how I categorize and organize all of them. So taking a look through this, here I'm showing the same dashboard group here in the desktop experience. So once again, if you've invested in modernizing these apps and making them appear on this dashboard, it'll appear wherever there's a sense of place and a sense of destination for Viva Connections. And you can even see things here too, where of course, the apps that you might have, your payroll apps, your line of business apps, things your IT department might be modernizing, can be listed right alongside other Viva Connections resources. So insights and learning appear right on the dashboard as well. We really do think about Viva Connections as the home for Microsoft Viva. It's the one place you can send employees to where it all comes together. And so we're just checking out more of the dashboard on mobile here too, and you can see access to other resources. To geek out on the technology for just a second, these are all adaptive cards backed by existing applications in Microsoft Teams. So there's not a new development model for your IT to learn here. They can take and leverage their existing skills and have it apply in this new place with Viva Connections. So that's just a quick tour of Viva Connections. You can get started today by creating a SharePoint home site, gets you the desktop experience. Start playing around with some of our experiences for creating adaptive cards within Microsoft Teams so you're ready for the launch in the summer of the mobile experience, and really just get going, sort of bootstrapping and turbocharging your culture and communications of the company.
Thanks for sharing that, Adam. I love to see how, SharePoint and all the places where we're going to call home is evolving. So that's a really great demo. Kamal, we've seen a focus on productivity for our dispersed employees, especially throughout our new normal this past year. So that being said, according to a recently published survey, 85% say well-being has declined, 56% say job demands have increased. So for one example, one of my financial services customers has encouraged their employees to have no external meetings on Fridays and take off at noon. So how can management leverage insights to implement real-world strategies, ensuring their employees are working at their best and avoiding burnout?
Yeah, so over the last year, many of us, all of us really, have seen how easy it is for the line between work and life to blur. And we're always on, we're always connected, we're making sense of this incredible amounts of information while multiple tasks and deliverables are demanding our attention. So one of the things that has emerged, as I mentioned earlier, is this focus on employee well-being, and that as connected to productivity and then to financial outcomes. So employee burnout has been on this troublesome trajectory for several years, and we see clear signs that that always-on mode is not sustainable. So according to the recent survey that you just cited, 85% of people say their well-being has declined, and we find that about 1 out of 5 people say that they're essentially experiencing a half dip in productivity. And the connection to that dip in productivity is around isolation. Human beings, 80% of our communication is nonverbal. And we've now removed all of the ability to connect in that natural way to being connected through this box on the screen. And that leads to a sense of isolation, which then leads to a certain level of low productivity and therefore business outcome loss. And then more than half of the people say that their job demands have increased. And what we've seen is a separation between leaders and employees. Employees are saying that things are much worse. However, leaders are saying their work is more balanced. And so this distinction leads to something that we believe is super important for a company to be successful, to get visibility into what is actually happening on the ground so you can support and empower your employees. And so this personal cost for the individual, all the data points to it translating into losses for your organization in terms of both productivity and attrition. And so based on that research, what we're looking at doing is creating, with Viva Insights, tools and mechanisms to allow you to understand what's happening and then take action to make it better. So to ground us for a moment on what Viva Insights is, it's effectively a set of insights for individuals, managers, and leaders, because we know that cultural transformation and productivity and well-being happens at every level of the organization. And giving them visibility into what's happening with themselves, their teams, or their organizations, and then giving them actions that they can take to help the organization thrive. So these productivity, well-being experiences and insights are available in Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to show you a demo in a moment, as well as having Viva Insights bringing over time all the power, if you're familiar with it, of workplace analytics and My Analytics, bringing that in under the Viva brand. So the individuals will receive the personal insights in teams, the managers will receive insights about their entire org, and the leaders will see, for example, how does my entire organization interact, say, with a particular customer or with a particular external service workflow. And finally, these advanced tools, because we know that every company is different, we particularly hear this from financials, allow you to do custom analysis. So it's not enough just to say, here are the insights and dashboards and you can't extend them. We have to allow you to do custom analysis and bring additional data in to then combine with. So what you see over here is the new Viva Insights app within Teams, where our intent is to help you work smarter and thrive with privacy protected insights, because financials, just like other highly regulated industries, have regulation and compliance and privacy top of mind. And our goal is to have a life coach essentially helping you bring your best self to work. So as you plan for the days ahead, as you can see on the screen, here I as an individual get a personalized recommendation about how I can prioritize time for focused work and coaching. What we find when the pandemic hit was because the lines between work and home blurred, people were no longer making time. Symphonies get written and patterns get created only when you have time for that deep work. And so most of our customers are asking us to ensure that employees can create that space in their daily lives. Once you've actually blocked that time off for deep work, another thing that bubbles to the top is setting aside time for things like learning or ensuring that you complete those important tasks. And as Adam mentioned, connecting this into all of the other surfaces that an employee lives in through connections is the intent and the goal. Here, an employee can set aside time for learning, and then another partnership. We recognize that this insights frame that we provide has to be extensible. It has to be personalized both for the organization as well as for the individual. And one of the partnerships that we are very excited to announce is the one with Headspace, where you can bring meditations and cognitive breaks into your experience right in the flow of work. And so all the research essentially points to what we call cognitive white space. And we did a partnership with LinkedIn, where an analysis of all our employees revealed that when employees were allowed to have cognitive breathers, they saw an additional 10 percentage points improvement in how engaged they felt at work and how positive they felt about their workday. So the science says that taking is really key to allowing you to do deep, effective work, and then therefore great outcomes for your interactions with customers and in the company. And a great quote that I'm very fond of over here is that the silence between the notes is the breather that creates the music. And so think of these cognitive breathers as essentially a way to have music as opposed to a continuous tone, which it does not contribute to well-being. And finally, some of the other things that we want to introduce with well-being is all of those little actions that you do in your daily life, converting them into rituals. An example here that you see on the screen is Viva Insights helping you mindfully wrap up your workday with something we call the virtual commute. Nobody loves the commute. Nobody likes sitting in traffic. But what the research and behavioral science pointed us to is those rituals really helped us be more effective at work by allowing us to take the to-do list that is in your head, putting it into a separate task list in partnership with Microsoft To Do, and then creating an experience where you arrive at it the next morning. And the research that we did with about 30,000 users that we published recently in the Work Trend Index pointed to the fact that making these additional rituals part of your workday just makes you more effective.
Kamal, that was really insightful. It even made me think maybe I do miss my commute. And it is pretty amazing that we could take this kind of technology and really empower our employees to take care of themselves. And then in turn, everyone can complete more meaningful work. So thanks for that. So a topic that's come up many different times across the industry is, I'm constantly overloaded with new information, maybe new acronyms, new strategies. With the evolution of technology, there's always something new to learn. How would Viva help us, keep our knowledge up to date, keep us connected to experts, and get the information that we need quickly?
Yeah, that is a really important focus for almost all of the enterprises that we talk to. And an interesting data point post-pandemic from the Work Trend Index report has been that about 1/3 of employees are actually looking for new roles within their current environment. And we believe that ensuring that they are reskilled effectively is going to be key to success in the business. So the intent with Viva Learning, as you can see from the slide, is to solve these key pain points and how you reskill your employees. And we know there are a lot of them. So 79% of CEOs say that the talent and skills of their workforce is the #1 issue. Meanwhile, what we hear from employees is that they only spend 1% of their work week on any kind of learning. So based on this data and all the behavioral science and learning theory that we know about adult learning, is that we need to create a different kind of experience about how employees can learn on the job, and that learning needs to be more engaging and seamlessly integrated into the flow of work. And so building that learning experience into teams is really the intent of the Viva Learning pillar. So first is making learning a natural part of your day. And by this, we mean that within the Viva Learning app in Teams that today goes out to 115 million daily active users, we can take a subset of those and expose them to those learning capabilities, sharing contents via chat, pitting curated resources, making all of the content available in one place, and then also creating a community culture around how you can share learning that was actually useful, get a single place where you view what learning you need to complete, and driving to results that actually matter. Another piece of this that I'll show in the demo in the actual product is that when you have a typical Teams conversation, you can actually click the Viva Learning tab right in there, adding a relevant title for it, and then search the catalog for relevant resources to pre-populate that tab with learning content. So this takes advantage of the entire huge database of learning assets that are available to a company and pulls them into a single place, where then a user can save those learning offerings and then set up a pre-populated tabs where they have access to all of that content. Furthermore, they can share this so anyone on the team can actually access that shared learning content and add additional resources by going through exactly the same search functionality. So we think this will be a key part of the entire employee experience, where when a new employee joins, they can onboard to a new team and project, as well as simplifying the learning curation process, where a manager or a leader or even a individual can see what are the additional places where learning is available to them, what are the things that they need to focus on, and then Viva Insights will come in to help employees ensure that they find time to learn by blocking that dedicated time on their calendar. So we're very excited about this, changing the way that companies that are so dependent on skilling their employees can succeed.
Thanks for sharing that, Kamal. Adam, something that I counter often, is new initiatives at the company, new acronyms, or even a new business group strategy. With the evolution of technology, there's always something new to learn. Can you talk to us about how topics makes this a much better experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head, Edwin. It's really about turning content into usable knowledge, harvesting the expertise, the tacit knowledge just sitting around in various SharePoint sites and emails and Teams chats and all over the place, but putting it in a way that brings it together. And the other thing to understand about Viva Topics is that it absolutely keeps humans in the loop. Yes, we think we have some incredibly exciting AI technology that can automatically harvest topics, automatically suggest various different descriptions, find resources, find people, but we don't take humans out of the equation. In fact, the most successful topic deployments we have are this combination of AI seeding, but then knowledge managers and crowdsourced throughout the organization, individual employees contributing back. When we described this to the Wall Street Journal when we launched Topics a little while ago, we talked about this as a Wikipedia for the enterprise, and it absolutely is. That notion of crowdsourcing is baked into how we think people will succeed with Viva Topics. So just give you a real hint, just to make sure you walk away from this podcast having seen Topics in action. Here we are. You're in a particular Teams chat. There is a project like SOAR that you're not familiar with, very subtly, such that it's not in your face, but you can hover over this and you can see what we call the topic card. It provides a description, provides alternate names, it finds people associated with the content, and provides suggested resources. And so it's in the moment, really quick answers, solving people's knowledge questions right where they're already doing work. You see it here in Teams. It exists in SharePoint Search, SharePoint, Outlook, Microsoft Office, including Word, et cetera, just sort of any place the end user work. We envision it over time to be as ubiquitous as the people card experience you might see, where you can hover over people anywhere in the Microsoft 365 suite. So if I click through and view details, this is where it really starts feeling like a Wikipedia for the enterprise. There's an edit topic page. Any changes made here, of course, appear in the card before, and this is where interested content curators or knowledge managers can come in and really make sure that this topic reflects the reality of the organization, keeping it up to date, seeing what AI has suggested, confirming it, rejecting it, and providing editorial control. So that's just a brief taste of how Viva Topics works.
Wow, Adam, thanks for sharing that. After 20 years of being at Microsoft, I'm always learning something new, and I can already feel how topics can help decrease my research time and accelerate my learning goals. But really, this is all great in theory. So Kamal, can you share an example or two of financial services institutions that's leveraging Viva today? I'm sure our audience would love to see the impact the platform is having to other banks, insurance, or capital markets organizations.
Absolutely, Edwin. So a customer story that I'm very fond of is where one of our customers used Workplace Analytics, now Viva Insights, to assess what were the behaviors of their top performing salespeople. And a few interesting patterns emerged. One was the fact that their top performing salespeople spent time with 3 to 5 customers, less and they weren't being productive enough, more and they didn't have enough time for a deep relationship. Second, that those top performers also had the richest internal networks within the company. So they were able to leverage their internal network. And what they did was they deployed a program taking these patterns of behavior to remind and essentially nudge all of their salespeople, give them a coaching session to say, follow these behaviors. And if their customer contact fell below, they reminded them to connect with a customer. If their internal network fell below, they reminded them to have those connections. And what they saw after a year was an immediate impact of a 1/3 increase in their bottom line. And this was startling. So we don't believe in any of our products until we actually see customers succeed and see that work for them. So that's a story that I'm very fond of sharing. Second, you're going to see a video, which is one of our customers, Investec, who thinks of themselves as a relationship bank versus a transactional bank, and how they use insights data to fulfill that vision and lead to their success.
Awesome. Thanks, Kamal. So interesting. And I think now we're actually going to roll into a video where we learn a little bit more about Investec and hear from them.
Investec is an investment banking and wealth management specialist. It was founded in 1974 in South Africa. It's grown into a sizable international business over the last 40 plus years.
We always think of ourselves as a relationship bank, not a transactional bank. Best practice for us is developing strong, enduring relationships.
The engagement blind spot to the business is really about them not understanding who in the organization, or rather who else in the organization is either contacting a client or is contacting a lead or prospect.
Trying to distill that information and understand that client relationship can be either impossible or a full-time job in of itself. We turn to Microsoft Viva Insights to start to solve some of those challenges and better distill that data to help us make better decisions.
As Chief AI Officer, I wanted to understand what advanced analytics we can bring into making people's lives easier and improving the overall quality of our data. The path was set for us with Viva Insights. We quickly widened it into our fund finance business and then into our corporate finance business.
It was sitting within our tenant, so it allowed us to harvest insights that were already existing in our Office 365. It was a seamless interaction and integration.
It's very much a GDPR compliant solution. Your data is secure in the cloud, and it gives you the ability to obfuscate the level of information that you need to cross-share within the organization or externally.
Certainly seeing some really exciting outcomes. The team hit the desk on Monday morning and a lot of the heavy lifting has been done for them. The data's been has been sifted through. They can focus their time on reaching out, building relationships, spending time with clients.
Microsoft Viva Insights, and the driver for it really allows us to reduce that distance to value. How quickly we can drive those insights and have the right conversation with the right person at Investec. It's there to make our lives better.
This has been a super interesting conversation. So Kamal and Adam, what do you want to leave with our viewers as we wrap up today?
So this is an exciting point of time in our product where we want to get tons of feedback from you on all of our modules. So first, we'd like you to go look at the Microsoft.com Viva site, take a look at some of the products that are available out to you, either in preview or out into market. Go deploy the Insights Teams app, preview the Learning app, deploy topics, and take part in the Desktop Connections preview as well. Adam, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you really nailed it. We just really dig in. The product is available in many dimensions, and for those that it is, use it, give us feedback, and deploy.
And of course, our field partners are available for you to participate in an EXP envisioning session. So if you're trying to figure out how your customer can benefit from this, please reach out to them. They have some great stories and case studies to share with you.
Adam and Kamal, thank you so much for sharing your time and perspectives. I'm positive our viewers have learned a ton of valuable information today. What we've learned today is how Viva empowers customers to gain insights into employee productivity and well-being.
We also saw firsthand how Viva works in partnership with teams and what a manager view would look like.
Then we heard about a real-life example of how one of Microsoft's FinServe customers deployed Viva, gained insights into how their employees use their time effectively, and then the company then used those insights to model best practices for other employees struggling with their productivity.
Really great stuff, Erin. Let's move on to Q&A. What are some of the viewers asking?
So Kamal, we have a question from the audience. Their organization is very focused on security and compliance. So they want to know, how does Viva fit into the Microsoft stack, and where does security and compliance fit in?
So Viva is a part of Microsoft 365, and one of the most important tenets of Microsoft 365 is customer trust, how we are guardians of the customer's data. And so we have a set of principles that govern the way we build product and also the way we deliver it to our customers. One is that your data is your data alone. So all of the rules we have around how your mailbox is accessible only to you, those rules apply to the way that we offer those individual insights, individual topics to an employee within the context of Microsoft Viva. The second thing is being compliant with all of the regulations. We have the largest enterprise activity set in the world, and that's because we treat that data with a great degree of trust and GDPR compliance, ensuring that you have the ability to always be fully regulated, compliant with the ability to serve up data, as well as being consistent across global requirements is a key part of our promise. The third thing I'll say is, as we actually build the product, as we think about how we engineer and design these, that thought about how we ensure privacy of the individual and the organization is always top of mind. And so these features, as an example, differential privacy, which is an insights feature where we give managers team insights, we don't give a manager any insight that can allow them to identify an individual. We introduce statistical noise to ensure that you only ever show an insight when the data set is large enough. And we provide that protection for the individual employee as a part of the product built in.
Very insightful. So it seems like we might even be able to have our own session just on security as it stands alone with Viva, right?
Absolutely.
We have a question here from the audience. Return to office, what about those people that are either going in motion, they're traveling, or versus those that are staying at home? I heard that there may be a link between Viva Connections and Yammer. Can you tell us more about that? Adam, maybe this is something you could handle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's such a fundamental question because it goes to the heart of many customers have made decades-long investments in existing Microsoft technologies, and Viva Connections is nothing more than an organizing layer on top of it. So yeah, you embed Yammer into the feed in Viva Connections. You put it as a web part on your Viva Connections desktop experience. Viva Connections brings together your existing investments in Yammer, in SharePoint, in Stream, putting inside Microsoft Teams, and it just helps it get better, and it gives you this go forward, great reason to sort of reinvent these experiences and bring them even deeper together.
So Kamal, one other question that has come up is many customers want to know, is there a way to measure what our top performers do, how they work? For example, Do you have any examples of customers that have taken these insights and then used them to yield changes into their employee experience broadly?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the wonderful things about looking at the data in aggregate is that you're able to then identify what is it that your best performing people do, and then use that as assistive and coach to everyone else. So that you essentially level the playing field by making all of your employees be their best selves, as great as they can be for the organization. So an example, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, is where with the sales force, we essentially looked at what were the top performing salespeople characteristic activity patterns, and then helped everyone else in the field get access to that information so that they could implement exactly the same actions and activities. With regard to that specifically, one of the things we did was an action that one of our customers took was to allow them to leverage focus time and meeting efficiencies, meeting effectiveness to save or redirect time. And what we found was that people engaging with the feature saved on the order of about 5.5 hours a month. And that time was then put into the activities that we knew the top performers did, essentially reskilling, working more effectively with customers, building their internal network. And that led to an overall improvement. So insights is not just about understanding, but it's about taking the action that will then result in the transformation and the improvement.
Looks like we're out of time. Thanks again for attending via YouTube or watching live and asking questions.
If you haven't already, be sure to register for FSI notifications and invites by using aka.ms/FSI Fridays.
We're also open to constructive feedback, so please send us your comments and suggestions at aka.ms/FSI Fridays feedback.
Be sure to catch recordings of our previous sessions on the FSI Fridays YouTube channel. Be sure to catch recordings of our previous sessions on the FSI Fridays YouTube channel at aka.ms/FSI Fridays recap, where you can also post any follow-up questions that weren't covered today.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back in May. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks, and see you next time
on FSI Fridays.